Hi, everyone. Welcome to your second episode of this year here in Be the CEO of Your Life. I'm Olga, your host, and today we're going to talk about how to make your best year. It is cliche. We hear this everywhere, but I really do think that I have a unique idea that is going to be super helpful to you. And this will be a follow-up from last week's episode where we talked about how to create change. So if you didn't listen to that one, definitely make it a point to go back to that one, because that's where I talk about the structure of creating change and the ingredients that are needed. And today is all about the how to create your best year. So you are one decision away from creating your best year. It is possible, first of all, and it is accessible to you. So I'm going to break it down for you into chunks of how to, some steps that we're going to follow together. I'm going to ask you to review your past year a little bit. So some of this episode, you will have to pause and write and reflect. This one episode, I think of it as a workshop. Okay. And since I'm talking about workshops, I wanted to do this one now because next Saturday, January 13th, I'm actually doing a 3-hour virtual retreat where we will create the plan for your best year. So hands-on. I talked about it in our last episode, and I wanted to remind you because you haven't signed up. And if you haven't signed up, what are you waiting for? It is 3 hours of workshop style virtual retreat where we will go through the breakdown of what you want to accomplish this year. We will break it down into segments of 12-week periods because of everything that I'm going to share here today. And it is $67. It won't be recorded. So you have to come live January 13th, 9 a.m. till noon Eastern time. Sign up, scroll down to the show notes. The link is right there for you. But if you don't find it, go to my website, www.olgasway.com, and find in workshops. There is 2 workshops already up there. Sign up for this one. Okay. So before we dive in, I want to come to you. I want to tell you, I'm going to come clean and tell you that I'm coming to you to this episode. I'm recording as I just found out that IVF number 6 that I just went through with my husband did not lead to a pregnancy, which is definitely a heartache for me. It is a reoccurring, and I just looked at the time and it was 11:11. Reoccurring feeling and experience for us, unfortunately, one that we know well, and it doesn't stink any less. It is painful. But I thought, what a coincidence that I'm recording this episode as I am navigating myself the hardship of a negative pregnancy test after so much effort, physically, emotionally, and financially. And I also found out that the embryo that we have left from this cycle, it's rated at the worst quality possible. Most clinics actually discard it. Our clinic didn't, just to give me the chance to transfer it. And so I'm definitely thinking heavily about what to do with that embryo. And I would likely not transfer it just because of what it means physically, emotionally to do that and end up again empty-handed. So that's where I'm at right now. How I process this, I literally just wiped tears out of my eyes to come record. This was in my calendar today and I'm sticking through it. I already had basically all morning to cry and write about it. I asked my husband to take our son somewhere so that I could just be by myself and give myself permission to feel all the feelings. So as I was getting ready to talk to you guys today about focusing on living your best year, and this is very present emotion where it doesn't feel like the best year when I had hoped to have a baby this year. And I realized as I'm sitting here, it's like, this is perfect because I can be so real with you guys, how difficult, painful things can be happening. And yet we can still make that choice, that decision, that no matter the circumstances, this can and will be my best year. And if we have that attitude every year that is in front of us, we will never walk through our life feeling the heaviness of dissatisfaction with our choices and with our life. So I am here to show up as real as possible with all of my emotions, highly, highly hormonal people, to give you my view on how to have your best year ever. If I go off script, I blame it on my hormones. Let's dive in. First of all, I was reflecting on that concept of living our best year. I've heard it from so many mentors. Most of the people that I follow on social media are coaches, are personal development gurus. And this has been a theme that I've seen all over. And of course, I had it already scheduled and planned as well. So there's something about personal development that does lead to think on how to continue to improve, how to continue to experience excellence in our life. I talked about purpose in our last episode, and purpose is become my word of this year, or part of this year anyway. I was reflecting for this episode on what makes the best year. What makes a person say, this is my best year yet? And I think that's defined by each individual. So I'm not here to define that for you, but I'm here to ask you to reflect on that. It got me thinking of what I assign, or what meaning do I give to success? What does success mean to me? And my own conclusion of success is likely very different than yours. For me, success is failing. It's a list of failures, because that has cleaned up my practice, my acting, and whatever it is that I said acting, like my act is a better way, not my acting, my act, excuse. So for me, success might be very different than it is for you, because for me, it means I went out into the field and I tried a million things and many failed. And that was my recipe for success. That is my definition of success. Again, probably very different than yours. And I don't want to tint your own perception, but I want you to think. Maybe you haven't even thought of how you define success. Do you define it by having money, a certain amount of money in the bank? Do you define it by an emotion that is predominant in your heart? Do you define it by things you have? What does success look like for you? That's your first starting point. Because if we're going to say this is your best year yet, we want to be realistic and in alignment with what we think success is. Here's my invitation and what I'm going to talk about throughout the entire episode. Make this year about you. Being the most genuine version of yourself. When I think about living my best year and what I wish that for you, I'm thinking of you focusing on you, your opinions, your dreams, your time, what matters to you most, your values. Those components make your year the best. It is when we focus our goals on, oh, I hope I make more money than my friend. I hope I also have a baby because so-and-so already did. I hope, no, my best year is based on I hope my husband likes me more. So I'm going to get in better shape. Think about how do you normally make decisions? What is it that you give weight to? And how are you going to claim that this year back to you, where you make decisions based on what matters to you, on your values, on your time, on your opinions, on your likes. Living your best year is all about prioritizing your opinion. It comes down to that. It comes down to you deciding, this makes me happy and I'm going to do it. And this does not make me happy and I'm not going to do it. Giving yourself the freedom to have your best year by giving yourself permission to go after you. What makes you happy, what supports you. So as a concept, it sounds great, nice, but how do you begin to apply that to yourself? How does that become something tangible? So I was just telling you how I received sad news. Sometimes I love how intuitive I am, and sometimes I hate it. And 2 days after they had transferred this embryo, I just knew it hadn't worked. It was not going to work. And I hated knowing it so soon because I just wanted to be in this, I don't know yet, it could work mode longer. But my body talks to me so loud and I listen. And that is probably one of the best things that I've ever done in my life, is create that mind-body connection. Because I can trust my body's signals. I know my body. I can feel my body. And it never lies to me. I know what I know. And that's because 1 year, a while back, I decided to connect mind-body through mindfulness. And that has paid off to me so many dividends, because I call it now my intuition, but really is that connection. I pay attention. I know, I sense. And then I have to accept, right? And that's where I'm at right at this moment, in acceptance mode. So let's begin at the start of this whole thing. Why did I want to think about your best year yet? Well, one, because I am a self-development, junkie. I love it. I love self-development. I always think the best is yet to come, even if I have no clue what that looks like. My husband said to me, I think 2 days ago, I don't know how yet, but this is part of our story and it's all going to work out. And I love to have that kind of thinking. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. And we've put so much pressure on ourselves at the beginning of the year. Best year yet. It sounds great, but also terrifying. What am I gonna do to make this year the best year? This is why I think most people don't stick to their New Year's resolution, because they either add too much onto that list, put too much pressure, and they end up paralyzing themselves. That's not what we want to do. But we do want you to aim for your best year. Why? Because my hidden agenda is that you get to ask yourself, perhaps for the first time in your life, what do I need to create my best year? How can I guarantee myself that no matter the circumstances, I'm going to make the best out of this year? This is about getting ready yourself to have your most successful and exciting year ever. Because you're going to pour your heart into yourself. Because you're going to do the things that you've been waiting to do for a long time, but you're going to do them in so much love that you're going to feel that there's plenty of time for you to do, plenty of resources for you to invest in yourself. I know many of you have tried to change your life before. You have said before, this is going to be my best year, without much success. At some point you quit. And I've recorded episodes on why we don't succeed. So if you're curious, go back through my episodes, because there is something about that. But with the right process, it is possible for you to achieve more than a single year, to achieve a lifetime of happiness and success. And so this sort of like process I'm going to teach you today, you can repeat it. It's like wash, dry, and repeat. Wash, dry, and repeat. You can do this again and again and again. So most New Year's resolutions are a little more than just a wish list. And they have no chance of success, because if there are wishes, I already talked about this last episode. It's sort of like buying a new book and putting it in your bookshelf right away to read for another time. And before you know, that book will be there for years before you even open it and read it. That's what a New Year resolution without a plan looks like. Okay? The average person forgets about their New Year resolution within a few weeks. Setting goals, however, is a powerful process if you do it correctly. I know many people, and that used to be me, we will set New Year resolutions, that were so massive, not noticing it would take 3 years to get there, and then feel disappointed halfway through the first year because we didn't get there yet. So setting goals is powerful if you know how to do it correctly. And it's so much more than just noticing what is it that I desire, right? We talked about this last episode. It is about commitment. It is about deciding. It's about backing up your decision. It's about executing. I stopped doing New Year resolutions a while back, basically because I started following what research says is best for your brain. And so there's a great book called The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. And so this book is based on the principle that breaking down larger goals into smaller, more manageable cycles of 12 weeks is how you get to that long-term vision, and you get to be far more effective in achieving your goals, because there's something that happens to your self-discipline, to your brain. It's working with your brain cycles, essentially, that allows you to be encouraged and self-motivated when the goal is broken down into into cycles of 12 weeks. My Reset Your Mindset program, for example, was made 12 weeks specifically because of research showing that that's how long it took for somebody to successfully make a shift in the brain. And because Reset Your Mindset is all about helping people think again without mental errors, without limiting beliefs, I knew the 12-week was very crucial. If you don't follow it for 12 weeks, you might not complete that neurological connection. So segmenting your goals into 12-week periods makes you be far more focused and disciplined. And this is one of the things that this book says. But overall, there are so many studies that show that people who use this approach are more productive, more focused, and more motivated by setting short-term goals. We tend to achieve them and feel better about our sense of accomplishment. You're more focused and clear, and it's like it feels short-term. There's research supporting this about growth, muscle growth. So even in personal training, about changing eating habits, about creating new habits, so much to say that the 12 weeks is actually not a bad idea. So last episode, I was telling you all about, getting yourself into the structure, how to create change. And this episode is all about the how. So the first thing you're going to do is break down your year goal into segments of 12 weeks. And all you're going to focus on is the next 12 weeks. This way, you don't always have to be waiting for a new year. You don't have to be waiting for the weekend or the summer to get in shape and to do the things that you only do in the summer. You could literally start saying, my main goal for the next 12 weeks is going to be to get in shape, whatever the month it is. And I'm going to give it this next 12 weeks. So you feel like, okay, I can have more than one goal, or I can break down my big goal into smaller chunks. And this is going to be far more doable for me. So in order to get to those 12 weeks and how you can break them down and think to yourself, okay, how am I going to break down my year into 12-week segments? You're definitely going to need some balance. You're going to need to know that your life is not just about that one goal. You've got other things to work towards. But let's say that you follow my lead and you decide that this year is all about you and that you're going to make decisions based on what's best for you, and that you're going to make decisions based on your opinions and your values. How will you begin that process? What will be the first thing that you want to do in this year to get there? Something that I normally suggest my clients to do is to review their past, because this will give you so much information about yourself. And it will give, that information could be wisdom that you can use towards your success. The past has so much to reveal to yourself. And at the very least, it can show you mistakes you've made in the past that you can now not make consciously. So for example, if your goal is to be in a relationship, to review what has gone sideways in relationships, what has caused your past relationships to come to an end. If your goal over the next 12 weeks is financial, what have been the challenges that you face financially? Where is it that you're normally kind of, lost track of your finances? If your goal for the next 12 weeks is about work, what has normally gotten on the way of you doing good work or following your career aspirations? If it's about diet or being in shape, what has failed you in the past? Looking back at how things have not worked for you is a good starting point, because, like I said to you, my definition of success is going through a lot of failures, because it gives me wisdom. Now I know. I share with you that this is my 6th round of IVF. This is the first round I can honestly tell you that I went in with little to none attachment to the outcome. And it's been such a different experience, but I couldn't have done it without my previous 5 experiences. I am in so much better, like all my friends are reaching out, thinking that they're going to have to deal with the Olga of like last round of IVF. And I can tell my response is so different. I'm like, I am in a good place of acceptance because I went into this round of IVF with so much wisdom. Understanding this was completely out of my hands. Understanding this has nothing to about with me personally. There is nothing that I can do or not do to control life and my future. And I started this process intentionally surrendering from the beginning. I actually did a prayer for myself and I said, either give me a baby or give me acceptance. And the day after I realized this or felt in my body this hadn't worked, I was mad that day. I was very sad that day. The next day, I woke up with so much acceptance. And I was able to continue to navigate through what I was going to have to, and I am navigating today, but sincerely telling you with acceptance in my heart. Your past is full of wisdom for you. Step 1 to create your best year is to review your past few years. If they haven't felt like your best years, what made it be that way? What got in the way? What were some of the obstacles you encountered? You yourself. How did you make it not be your best year? You may find that perhaps you've delegated your happiness to others, your health to your doctor, your time off to your boss. Today, I had planned to go skiing with my son and my husband. It was a plan. I said yes yesterday and I was going to do it. And this morning, I feel very emotional and very incapable of doing that. So I changed my mind. But I could feel and see the battle in my brain of like, I said yes, they really want me to go. I should go there for them. But I'm not making decisions based on what is best for them. I'm making decisions based on what it is good for me. And yes, I can have that clarity, and so can you. Because we're so used to making decisions on being a good wife, good girl, thinking of like, oh, it's totally inconvenient for me. I don't really feel like doing it, but they're counting on me. So I want you to reflect on that to begin. You could answer to, when you're looking at your past, you want to look at things like your physical health, your finances, relationships, work, hobbies, maybe your spirituality, your family. I'll give you some questions. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a PDF to this episode so you can download all of these questions and you can reflect on your own. But reviewing your past is critical in your ability to create your future. So what were the highlights from last year? Create a list of at least 5 positive experiences from last year. Go with your gut. Anything that fills you with positive emotions, that can be a highlight. Could have been something as simple as spending the perfect afternoon with your spouse or your child at a park. For me, that's one of my highlights, was camping with my son. He loved it so much. Second question is, what are the low points and how could they have been avoided? If it wasn't all good, of course, because it's life, There had to be a few experiences or days that you just don't want to repeat. Also create a list with those. And could they have been prevented? What insights do you now have from that? So that you can prevent them from happening again. And even ask yourself, how could I prevent that from happening again? Question number 3. What are the best decisions you've made over the last year? I had a client tell me one of the best decisions I made was to sign up with a coach, me. I'm like, amen to that. It's definitely been one of the best decisions that I keep making. So it's easier to go back to that, right? You want to create a list of the best decisions that you made. What were they? How can you apply that information into your future? Question 4. What were the worst decisions from last year? Let's face it, everybody makes mistakes. What were yours? When you look even further into the past, have you made similar decisions in other years? Question number 5. What are 5 positive habits that you would like to add this year? 5, 1. Just grab a list of 5 and then choose one. And consider the long-reaching characteristics of that habit. Diet, exercise, financial, and relationship habits can alter your future hugely. So keep that in mind. Question number 6. What are 5 habits that you would like to eliminate this year? What bad habits can ruin this year from being or stop this year from being your best year? So if you, like I, for example, noticed through this round of IVF, I was so intentional about not complaining. There's so much I could complain about. And I did not want to go through it complaining. And that required a lot of self-management because I could see how my brain wanted to complain about, physical pain or something else. But that's something that I've done in the past. And that's something that I've learned does not help me. And it does not help anybody around me either. So what are some of the habits that you want to eliminate in 2024? 7. What are the most important relationships in your life and why? We're limited by our resources, right? Good relationships require time and mental effort. It only makes sense to spend those resources on the most important relationships. So think about maybe past relationships that you would like to renew, but also useful to determine why your relationships that you're choosing are important. What do you receive from these relationships that makes them so important to you? 8. Which relationships should you consider ending or minimizing? Just as you've accumulated possessions, you can also accumulate clutter in your life from relationships. So consider all of your relationships, personal and professional. Which of these no longer serve you? They've completed their cycle. They transformed. And which of these relationships are going to stay with you? And they're going to be significant over time. Take advantage of your past experiences. Do take the time to answer these questions. And from there, I want you to create the next 12 weeks. And when you're done with the next 12 weeks, the 12 weeks after that. And after, the following 12 weeks. And before you know, you have a year of having completed successfully the best year by concentrating on chunks of 12 weeks at a time. What we're going to do in our virtual retreat is focus on finding your purpose this year. Really getting clear in your intention for the year. It's fine to have the biggest umbrella. And we're going to sit down to break it down into the chunks of 12 weeks. You're going to be like, but is written in stone after that? No, not really. After that, life happens and you can adjust and you can evaluate. Is it working? Is it not working? It's one of the successes of doing things in chunks of 12 weeks is that at 6-week mark, you can review. Is this working? How am I doing? Is this actually making me happy? Is this in alignment with my best year yet? What I know is that you may be listening to this, you may have taken notes, or you may have not. And this is just going to be an episode that you listen to that you were like, that was interesting. Bye. By signing up to the workshop, you will have 3 hours of focus, of really thinking, of really extracting from your beautiful brain and heart what matters to you this year. You're going to walk away with that plan. You just give it 3 hours out of your time and you have your year break down into segments that are doable. That of course, past the workshop, you can choose to change and modify. But I will give you the tools to break it down and walk away with something that feels very tangible, very doable. So if you want this year to be the best, you now know that it has to be focused on you. What you control. What you control is your mind, your emotions, your choices. I want to equip you in having the best year. Why not? Why not make this the best year? We can. And knowing you, you will. Because you don't have to think about the whole year. You just have to think about the next 12 weeks. What are you committing to for the next 12 weeks? Who can help you in that process? What will keep you accountable? If you ever worked with me in the past, I don't know if you've heard, but I've opened a new program called The Practice. And The Practice is a monthly membership where you get to have one coaching call a month with me in a group. You get to have journaling prompts a week, every Monday, something to reflect on. If you've ever taken Reset, you can access the videos of Reset. And if you want to purchase Reset, you can at a discounted rate so that you can watch those videos. And you get to be a part of a community of people who have been in and out of Olga's way, any of my programs. So this is also a great opportunity maybe for you to consider this year. And it is $99 a month because I want it to be accessible to everybody. With that, I am saying goodbye to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do download your PDF to review your past year and get that wisdom to make decisions for this year that's starting now. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Ciao.